Alright guys, here I am with the Q&A topic music, and I'm here with two very good friends of mine, Pop Culture Diva 42.
Everybody wants to rule the world.
And my good friend King Heavy Meta.
Yo.
Yeah, so the Q&A is going to be music. Now, we've only got about 19 questions. I'm actually surprised I got any questions at all, so this is a good turnout.
You like that there, it had been hot.
Alright, so the first question comes from Death Christ 2000. And
That name sounds lovely.
I was thinking, like, that sounds very, it sounds like a cool album title for a Rob Zombie album.
Yeah.
Okay, so the question is, thoughts on Jeff Wayne's War of the Worlds? Has anyone listened to that?
No.
I've only listened to one song. It's actually pretty good. It's not bad. I looked at that question, I was like, is he talking about the H.G. Wells, or is it an actual album? So I checked it out, listened to one song. It's actually pretty cool. But I don't really have a full say on it, unfortunately. So, yeah. Unfortunately,
The Martians are not real.
yeah, so...
That's my only input on that.
So, yeah, sorry we couldn't give you a further detailed question, sir.
Maybe we should actually went through and listen to the songs that people had questions about.
Yeah, that would have been a smart idea, actually. So, thank you for that question. And next one is 146 Zigzag, and this person asks, what are your favorite TV and movie themes? For TV, first and foremost, it's the Game of Thrones theme. It's loud, it's epic, it pretty much tells you you're in for something amazing. Other TV themes, and I'm going to go for animation as well. The X-Men 90s intro. The X-Men 90s animated cartoon intro. That thing just gets you pumped. I could listen to that for hours. The Dead Man Wonderland intro.
Yes.
That is amazing. For other TV shows, the intro to Doctor Who, but to be a little more specific, I like all the Doctor Who intros, but if you were to ask me like my specific favorite version of the song, it would have to be the 1981 to 1985 Peter Howell theme that was with Peter Davison. So that's just a few for TV. For movie themes, I gotta go with the theme for Star Wars, as always, that's a classic, and for Lord of the Rings. So that's just a little of my questions. What do you got to say, Justin?
One of my favorite things would have to be the theme from Fringe. The opening.
Oh, cool.
Yes. Captures my scientific aspect of life. Dead Man Wonderland theme, and Lucky Stars theme.
Yeah, you can't get away from the Lucky Stars theme. What about movie themes, Justin?
Movie themes, I can't really take any off the top of my head.
Alright. And you, Deanna?
Well, for movie themes, there are just so many to choose from. Obviously, John Williams with all he's done for Superman and Star Wars. But people like Danny Elfman, for instance, and unfortunately his name escapes. Clint Mansell, what Clint Mansell did for Requiem for a Dream and Smoking Aces and The Fountain. But my favorite soundtrack movie composer is Hans Zimmer. I just love all of his soundtrack. Now, obviously, there's stuff like Gladiator and Black Hawk Down in there, but actually, my favorite soundtrack from him is the one for True Romance, which I don't know if it's quite as known. I also like Craig Armstrong, and I like John Murphy, who did the soundtrack for Sunshine, which is just an awesome. Like, it's one of those soundtracks that you can listen on its own. And also in that same category is obviously one of the best soundtracks in recent years, the one for Tron.
Oh yeah.
By Daft Punk. That's just, again, you can listen to it on its own.
Yeah. I'll have to. Yeah.
In terms of TV,
I'm gonna say the Tron theme. I totally forgot about that, and the John Williams Superman theme. I totally forgot those two.
yeah, and like again with movie soundtracks, there's so much to choose from. And in terms of TV themes, I find it interesting that there really aren't any very well known composers for TV. Like, if I would have to say, like, I think the Hans Zimmer of movie themes right now is Bear McCreary, who did the theme for Battlestar Galactica, and right now is working on The Walking Dead. I really like him.
Really? I didn't know he was.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was him on. I totally never thought of, because it always left my mind. I never knew Bear McCreary was on Walking Dead now.
Well, it's good you know me. And I just other themes that I like. You see, there are shows that have very good music on them, but they don't necessarily have a very recognizable theme. And I don't really like, if you have an intro like you said with X-Men that is recognizable, that's good. But for me, it would be more important to have for the television show, to have a certain musical identity, and I feel that very little television shows properly do that today, because like I said, we don't really have any composers that do work solely for television shows. But there is a show that I watched recently, Misfits, that had a great theme. Like, you had themes for characters and stuff, and you know that this character has that particular music cue and action cues and blah blah blah. So yeah, Misfits is another one that I think has a very good theme.
All right.
And obviously Star Trek.
All right.
Almost forgot about Star Trek. Most of the Star Trek shows, except for Enterprise. Now, I never really watched Enterprise. I only think I watched like a season and a half, but I hated the fucking song in the beginning. I know a lot of people like it, but I hated the intro song for Enterprise.
Yeah. Anywho, so that's our next question is actually, Deanna, you're going to enjoy this. Favorite Danny Elfman score? This question was asked by Nepser1.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to start this off by saying I have a lot of favorite Danny Elfman themes, but I think if you were to ask me, like, if my number one would have to be the stuff he composed for all the stuff he did for Tim Burton, and especially Nightmare Before Christmas. That stuff I could listen to all day.
You like the one for Nightmare Before Christmas more than Batman?
Yeah, I like the Batman one, but it's more of a childhood thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's neck and neck, okay? So that's pretty much my answer, shortly. Justin, what about you?
I really don't know his work too well.
He did all of the Tim Burton movies. He did some of the Star Wars prequels.
Oh, okay. Well, I did enjoy the Tim Burton movies quite a bit.
Yeah.
Star Wars prequels, the music was good, but storylines could have been done better.
Yeah. That's the one thing I'm going to say right now. The weirdest thing is that even though there are some bad movies out there, they have some great musical scores, like all the Michael Bay Transformer films. I will always say, those movies are terrible, but that music is amazing. Why does it have to be in a horrible movie?
And Danny Elfman also, my favorite song from Danny Elfman is that song from Wanted. He provided the vocals for a song from Wanted. The name escapes me now. All the Little Things, I think it's called.
Yeah.
Love that song. And he also did the soundtrack for the 90s Flash show, which I actually really like. And I think that's what I'm going to go with, because everybody knows him for his Batman and his Tim Burton stuff. But he also did the theme for the Flash show.
Yeah.
Best Flash costume and best Flash soundtrack.
Okay, so thank you for that question, Nepser1. Now going on to Trey Tucker. And he asks, what would you think if some of the icons of a band, like let's say Disturbed, made a comic book series based on their albums? to say I'd give it a shot, truthfully, because the thing is they write songs, and yes, you can tell stories through songs, but there's a difference between writing a story through song and a difference between writing a story, and there's a little need for narrative construction and story plotting. With a song, you can just tell the whole story through song and let the imagination take over for that person. And you could say that for stories themselves, but on the other hand, you gotta be a little more consecutive with plotting, and I'm not saying that's a bad idea. I mean, Scott Ian, the guitarist for Anthrax, wrote some comics. I mean, the last one he did was, to my knowledge at least, the last one he did was a 2-part Lobo comic called Highway to Hell. Now, I've not read it because it's kind of frickin' hard to find. But I'd be okay with it. It'd just have to be one of those wait-and-see kind of things.
I think that idea would work better with concept albums that are tied around a certain theme, like, for instance, what Green Day did. I think Green Day had a couple of concept albums where most of the songs were connected and kind of followed the storyline. That would work well with something like this. But when you have, 12 different songs that have different sources of inspiration, it's kind of hard to, find a storyline that would fit every mood of every song.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, like a lot of bands do that. Like Symphony X is a good example of this.
Rhapsody of Fire is an excellent example. If they could release their own comic series based off their albums, because of the way they tell stories through their songs.
Yeah.
It's every song is linked to the storyline, through the storyline of the album, and each album is a continuation of the following storyline.
All right.
They do a lot of fantasy medieval metal, symphonic metal.
All right.
And they narrate. If I remember correctly, the guy who played Count Dooku is in Rhapsody of Fire.
You mean Christopher Lee's in that album?
Yeah, he plays in Rhapsody of Fire. It's a band.
Mm-hmm.
He narrates
in that.
He narrates the story? I need to go find this band.
Didn't he also go on stage with some very big bands and sung in concert with them?
I know what you're talking about. I just can't remember the band name.
It's not Rammstein, is it?
I want to say yes, but I don't know for sure.
Okay.
Going back to Tyler's Symphony X. Symphony X. I do like their storytelling, but theirs is specific to their album, to just one album.
Yeah. Well, if you want to do like little stories based on one album, it doesn't have to be a consecutive story comic. It should just be like a mini-series. Like, you could do the whole Symphony X story with the whole album they did of the war between heaven and hell.
Yeah, their Paradise Lost album.
Yeah.
Now, concerning the question, I would like to see the reverse of this. I would like to see albums released in connection to a specific superhero.
Well, actually, this actually brings up a good point, because Trans-Siberian Orchestra does that all the time with the whole telling stories with their music and having a book with it.
Yeah, they do. I have quite a few, and I've let Deadpoolzilla here borrow quite a few.
Yeah, that's actually a good example, and I think the writers of the song write the book too.
They do.
Yeah, so there's your answer right there. I'm pretty sure a lot of other bands do it, but Trans-Siberian Orchestra is a really good example.
If you want to listen to a narrated story, go listen to Beethoven's Last Night, the narrated version. It's almost 2 hours.
Yeah. So
that's with songs and narration combined.
Yeah, so devote a lot of time to this. So with that said, you guys want to move on to the next question?
I wonder what kind of music album Brainiac would have.
Well, actually, there's a question coming up.